Everybody, and welcome to the Paws for Stitches podcast. My name is Candy, and this is...
Hello, I'm Jamie.
This is Jamie, and we are coming to you guys today from Wilmington, New York, up in the Adirondacks. We were able to get away from New Jersey for a few days. Very excited. We'll tell you more about that in a couple minutes. But just to kind of go over a couple introductory things. For those of you who are new, welcome. I'm excited that you have found Paws for Stitches, and we're happy to have you. I don't know. I always say we, but you like to correct me on that.
I have no part of Paws for Stitches.
Jamie likes to pretend he's not part of the podcast, but it's a big lie because there actually is. He's pretty much. I think you've been in almost every episode, at least for some little cameo appearance. So much so that we like to call that segment, or this segment, if you will, the OMJ, which stands for Oh My Jamie instead of Oh My God, because whether he likes to admit it or not, Jamie likes to get himself into some crafty adventures from time to time. All kinds of ones. What's your most recent thing that you've been getting into?
Because I'm sitting around and I can't do much, it was coloring books.
Yeah. When we were, as those of you who have watched the previous episode may remember, that Jamie is actually recovering from his surgery that he had about 6 weeks ago. Actually, 6 weeks yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday.
6 weeks yesterday. And that surgery required a little bit of sitting around, which probably is not so much fun for you at all.
Nope.
Yeah, so I might have recommended the adult coloring books. I wasn't pushing the knitting. I probably should have been doing that, but you seem to be enjoying it. I don't know. People say it's relaxing. Was it relaxing?
It is.
Okay.
It is, yeah.
Well, that's good. I pretty much like to know that he's relaxing when I'm at work, because otherwise I'm worrying about him. So if he's doing coloring, that's pretty harmless. I don't think he can get himself into too much trouble there. But anyway, a couple things. For those of you who are new, welcome. And you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Paws for Stitches. We also have a fabulous Ravelry group that is growing little by little, and we've got some fun things going on there. So go on over and sign up for that as well. We'd be happy to have you. So anyway, Jamie's going to hang out with us just for a few minutes because, as I mentioned before, we were able to get away, come up to, you can kind of see in the background, we're actually sitting on this is the porch, right? Yeah, we're on the porch. We're on the covered porch. We tried actually starting to film on the deck, but it was too bright. And I think the computer might have actually overheated because it's a little warm in the sun. So we're giving a new location a shot here. So we ended up coming up to our place up here in the Adirondacks for a few days, which is awesome. And it's been a little bit of a different trip, though, because I don't know. This is going to sound horrible.
On the move.
Yeah, he's on the move. That's what I keep jokingly saying. This is going to sound terrible, but I keep telling Jamie that his heart attack is actually going to kill me because I'm having trouble keeping up with you. I don't know. I'm not sure where are you getting this energy from?
Probably I'm getting oxygen to my body now.
Yeah,
probably. Which I didn't know I wasn't getting oxygen to my body.
Yeah, I guess this is what.
No, it's just it's totally different.
Oh, sorry. That was
totally
a B. I guess this is what the doctors were talking about when they told Jamie in the hospital that he was going to feel better than he's felt. Oh, sorry, Clarence.
I thought I was a dog again.
Better than he's felt in a long time. Hi, Addie. So we're kind of experiencing that firsthand. So instead of usually when we come up here, I do a ton of knitting, and Jamie does a ton of stuff around the house, or what else do? You just kind of hang?
I just work on the house. I find a project, and that's what I do.
That's pretty much it.
I use that for enjoyment.
So I really thought I would do
and chop wood.
Yeah, but you're not chopping wood anytime soon.
No.
Thankfully, we don't need it right now. But yeah, also that would not be a wise choice. So, but it was funny when we came up, I really thought, because Jamie would need to rest, I thought I would be doing a ton of knitting and Jamie would be doing a ton of resting.
We're doing a ton of walking.
Yeah, you want to talk about that a little bit? where have we walked? I actually am going to insert some, maybe some pictures. You might have seen a little video on the introduction, but we wanted to tell you guys about a couple walks we've taken. Go.
Well, we started off lightly, just walking around the lake.
Oh yeah.
But then we went to
and that don't say lightly, because I don't think you realize that around Mirror Lake, which by the way, when you drive into Lake Placid, everybody thinks that's Lake Placid, but it's actually Mirror Lake. And the distance around that lake is actually, what was it, 2.7 miles?
Yeah, that's the loop.
Yeah, I didn't think you were going to feel comfortable doing that, but you did really well.
I did, but we also stopped and talked to a bunch of people.
Yeah, we found people to talk to. We found benches to sit on. Took rests here and there, but it was great.
It was a nice walk.
Actually, though, I think my favorite walk this weekend was
Peninsula.
Yes, the Peninsula Trail. Which
Trail.
What is that? That's a hike that goes into and along Lake Placid, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's an old logging road that's been shut down, and it has become a cross-country ski trail and a hiking trail. Yeah. And then they have some smaller trails that go right down along the, I think it's the south part of the lake.
Yeah, it was cool though. We also walked I guess a little bit past where we were supposed to, and we actually found what was that?
It was a dam.
Oh yeah, that was the dam. There was a little.
It's like 100-year-old dam.
Almost not a pier. I'm saying the wrong thing. A dock, sort of. What was that thing that went out into the water?
Oh yeah. That was just recently built within the past 2 years, and you could, if you want to hike a mile in with your canoe, could hike a mile in, and that is just an easy place to put in a canoe if you want to canoe Lake Placid.
Yeah, but I'm not going to blame you for this, but while we were on that hike, while we were doing that hike, I actually was really disappointed that I didn't have my knitting, because there were so many of these cool benches. I'm going to insert a couple pictures here. Places where there were these awesome benches that overlooked beautiful spots. And all I kept saying to Jamie was, because we had to take some, rests here and there anyway, I kept saying, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? I wish I had like a little sock project or something. So we got to thinking a little bit later on, and I told Jamie, I said, there's something in this. This could be like the next new thing for knitters, which I like to take two words and combine them. So we're going to take knitting and hiking and combine that. And what do we have?
Niking.
Niking. K-N-I-K-I-N-G. Niking. I think it's going to take off, actually, because...
This was our dinner conversation the other night.
This was a huge dinner conversation, because I really think that, that's what I want to do from now. And I love to go on walks with Jamie and all that kind of stuff, but, every time I'm doing something other than knitting, sometimes secretly I wish I was knitting, so why not take a small project along? Yeah. And if we have to stop and rest and whatever, just, I don't know, sit. I'm thinking socks would be perfect Niking projects, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Because, I bet I could take a couple of my sock project bags and use one of those, I can never remember the name of those. It's a fun, the rock climbing things that hook.
Oh, Caribbean.
Yeah. Take one of those and, hook it to the backpack and all that and be all set and ready to go. So
get pretty dirty, but that's okay.
That's all right. But I was thinking that, Jamie, I was telling Jamie that I think it would be so much fun to actually invite some people here and plan some sort of a Niking weekend or something like that, where maybe we could find a couple hikes that would be, you would have nice scenic spots along the way to stop and knit for a little bit. We could pack lunch for everybody. Wouldn't that be fun?
I like to cook. That sounds good.
Yeah, I also think, too, what were those, we went on those trails once where, a lot of trails here in the Adirondacks, you hike in and they have a lean-to. Yep. So even if we could find trails where it was a reasonable hiking distance to a lean-to, and to set up, a little Niking spot there and have lunch and hang out for, even if you just hung out for 45 minutes to an hour and then started back up again. I think that would be awesome.
A lean-to is it's a three-sided structure. The front of the structure is open. Some of you might not know what a lean-to is. They were actually built. They're built in the woods. They are actually built by the Civilian Conservation Corps, and they're just they're out in the wilderness where hikers can camp for the night. And usually there's a fire pit right in the front, The reason why they're open in the front is the heat is supposed to from the fire is supposed to deflect into the structure and circulate, and they heat up. But a lot of people hiking out here will use the lean-tos as opposed to carrying a tent with them. So a lean-to is just it's a log structure, three-sided.
They're awesome.
And like I said, the front side is open. Usually they look over a mountain view or a lake. So that's another reason why they're open. So because you have a nice, pretty scenery out front. Yeah. So that's what a lean-to is. If people didn't know what it was.
Jamie actually has plans to someday build
one right
a lean-to right
over there
on our property, because I jokingly keep telling it. I think it would be an awesome place to set up. It would be like a knitting lean-to. Perhaps that's what I want it to be. Maybe that's not what it's actually going to be, but it would be neat to be able to walk. We don't. It's not like we have a ton of property, but we have a few acres, so it would be nice to kind of have something that's tucked back a little bit on the property and take a walk back there with the dogs and stuff and hang out. So anyway, KNIKING is coming. So you guys let me know if anybody thinks this is a good idea or if I'm just being ridiculous, because there is the possibility that I am just being ridiculous. So I just think it would be cool. We actually did the only other thing we were going to mention, and then actually Jamie's got to run and take care of a couple things. But we also tried. I was very proud of you, though. We did another walk, which was a little more challenging.
Yeah, that was a little bit more difficult.
What was that? Was the Henry's?
Yep, Henry Woods.
Henry's Woods.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where we were intentionally looking for hikes that didn't really have a lot of elevation, because obviously that makes the walk all that more challenging. But I don't know where whoever read about this one, but I thought it was even challenging.
I misread. I didn't think it was going to be that strenuous, but yeah, made a decision. I had to turn around. I was pushing myself a little too much.
Well, and I think
but it was good. Went a couple of miles in.
I'm thinking 6 weeks after just some minor open heart surgery, I think you're being pretty realistic about what you can and can't do. Yep. So, but the most important thing is that you're moving, and it's actually really cool.
Yep.
And that's it. How's the beard going?
Beard's going fine.
Well, we've had a lot of comments about the beard.
I didn't know that we would.
Yeah, I haven't told you all of them, but some of the viewers seem to like the beard very much. So now you have even products, like man products for his beard. What is that stuff called? Beard.
It's just moisturizer.
Oh, I thought it was conditioner.
It's conditioner. I don't know what it is.
Beard conditioner. I didn't even know there was such a thing, but apparently
you were complaining that it was scratchy, so I figured
it was scratchy. I'm not lying about that at all. It looks. I'm getting used to how it looks, though. So let's just put that out there that I do. I think it looks nice. But anyway, so that's pretty much it. I'm hoping we're gonna get back up here maybe in a couple weeks. Hopefully again.
What about in a week?
Even better. I guess for some reason I keep thinking that's a couple weeks away, but hopefully we will get back up here.
We will.
And maybe next time we'll get to do a little bit more knitting. So I don't know. We'll see. But we're gonna say goodbye temporarily for the moment, and I have to grab a couple things, and then I'm gonna come back and talk about some more stuff. Oh, one thing though, we got some cool stuff this weekend. We actually rent our place, not a lot, just from time to time, and we little by little are picking up little gadgets and things. But look at the new keys. I gotta hold these the right way. Look at the new keychains whoa, where are we going?
There you go.
Don't these look like those kind of old motel keys, keychains rather, and we found these in a store down in Keene, right? Or was that Keene Valley?
Keene Valley.
Keene Valley. So we grabbed these. So we actually have people coming up this Friday. So they're going to be the first people that get to actually use the new cool motel keychains in the log cabin. So hopefully they enjoy that, and they're nice and big. You can't lose them, so that's cool. So I don't know. We also did a little bit of other shopping this weekend as well. We picked up, we might have spent a little more than we had planned, but we got a couple other things for the house, which was nice. So we're trying little by little. We're making this place nice, and certainly we love it. And there's Addie. Addie loves it.
Addie loves it.
And there she goes. She just stretched, and I thought she was going down, but not so much. All right, so is that enough for you for now?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
guess. We don't have any cocktails to talk about today, so because
No,
we're actually
we got to do some driving.
Yeah, we're going to be driving, so clearly that would not be there's no beverage conversation today. So
next time
we will.
I'll think of a good drink.
Absolutely. So let's take a break, and I'll be right back, you guys. Bye. All right, so we are going to keep going. Jamie, actually, I just realized that for the very first time since his surgery, he just pulled away in the car driving by himself. Yesterday was the first day he's allowed to drive, so he's actually just taking a ride down the road just to fill up so that we have gas for the ride home. I don't know. It seems like something pretty insignificant, but I think, hopefully he's going to feel even better now that he gets some freedom back and, can be behind the wheel and doesn't have to rely on everybody to get him from point A to point B all the time. So we'll see. But, if I keep looking to the left, it's because I'm waiting patiently for him to get back. And by the way, too, I may have to stop filming for a couple minutes. I don't know how loud it's going to sound when he pulls back up the gravel driveway again. So I might take another break, but then we'll just jump right back in. All right, so before I talk about any nitty good stuff, I am so excited because I got the most lovely package in the mail not that long ago, probably shortly after I recorded my last episode. But I had to take a moment to publicly thank Lisa, who does the Ichigo Abroad podcast with her daughter, Sophia. Lisa is amazing. I had the absolute pleasure of meeting Lisa when we went on the Washington County Farm and Fiber Tour retreat, which was hosted and organized by Sarah Pomegranate of the Yarns at Yinhu podcast. And I had so much fun getting to know Lisa. I actually wished we had gotten to spend a little bit more time together because I feel like I could learn a lot about her. Not only is she an amazing knitter, but she is an incredibly accomplished spinner. And look what she gave me. This is actually some of her hand spun. How gorgeous is this? It was so funny. I was watching her podcast. Ooh, it's kind of like a really cool hand spun worm. Oh, I love it. It's so pretty. I was watching her podcast, I think it was a couple podcasts ago, and she was showing this, and she actually said, it was so funny because she said something like, I'm going to be sending this to a friend who needs a little sparkle in her life right now. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, damn, that's one lucky friend. Holy cow, I am really excited. And I have to think of the perfect thing to do with this, so I'm sure you're going to see this again soon. So before I started talking about anything else, I just wanted to take a moment to go ahead and mention a little bit about this. But now let's get on with the other stuff. As we already mentioned, the only stinky thing about this weekend was that there wasn't as much time for knitting as there normally is when we're up here. When we come up to the cabin, I am like normally a knitting machine and I totally get a ton of stuff done, but not so much this time. That doesn't mean I still don't have at least one finished object to show you guys, but truth be told, I had that finished even before we came up here, but that's fine. It's still a finished object. And it kind of ties into a couple reminders I wanted to throw out there about the knit along that I am running with Jen Sheelan from the Jen Sheelan podcast. I'm not going to go over too many details about the knit along because I feel like in the last few episodes I've said a lot. So, but I do want to show my finished object. In the last episode, you may remember that I had said, I kind of was apologizing that I had not finished my jar. As those of you who've watched before may know that Jen and I are doing, it's a knit along, but it's actually a jar along. Jen Sheelan designs these lovely mason jar covers, and from now until December, we're actually highlighting a different jar each month. And while I had a lot of stuff with Jamie going on in July, unfortunately, I was afraid I was not going to get my July jar done by the end of July, but I actually did. I had extended my own personal deadline. I wanted to try and finish this. This is the Americana jar, Jen's pattern. I wanted to have this done at least, if I couldn't make it for July, I wanted to have it done in time for the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. So I have not lit anything inside this beauty yet. Let me show you a little bit more up close. You can see, I apologize. I guess technically it's not finished because I still have some ends. I just tucked them in the inside of the jar for now. But it's so cute. I ended up, oh my goodness. Oh, Addie, holy cow. I ended up deciding to use a self-striping sock yarn for this, and I'm going to put the name of that yarn at the bottom because I don't actually have it in front of me at the moment, and I can't believe I have already forgotten what it was, but it actually worked out beautifully. It's gonna jump out at me probably when I'm in the middle of talking about something else. But I also totally copied Jen Sheelan. She had showed these awesome jar coverings, I guess you would call this, with the little hanger. She found these at Michael's, so I was able to score one myself. They were like $1.99, just really cute. I would love, as I've said a million times, I'd love to make a ton of these. Even sitting here, like, you know, on the deck with the red chairs, I think they would look so cute to have up here at the cabin. So I don't think that is the last Americana jar I am going to knit up myself. This one was fast. Really, as you could see from the top, the only part that had a little bit of lace work was really the top. Everything else was just knit, 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 zoom, 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 which was awesome. So if you are looking for a fabulous gift pattern, it doesn't, even though it's the Americana jar, it doesn't have to, you know, you could do whatever you want. I was already thinking of some cool different things you could do with different colors for other holidays, things like that. So it's a pretty versatile project and super easy and fun to make. So thank you, Jen, for that. And if you are interested in making mason jar covers, please go ahead and check out all the details for the jar along that we are running. You can find details on either my Ravelry group. There's a thread in there that tells you everything you need to know. You can also go to the Jen Sheelan podcast Ravelry group, which, by the way, I highly recommend, because double dipping, as we have said from the start, is strongly encouraged. In fact, by the way, I know there are some projects that I have seen that are absolutely stunning and gorgeous in Jen's Ravelry thread that I don't see in my July/August finished objects thread. So don't forget, if you guys are watching this and you've already put something in Jen's group, go ahead and stick it in mine too, because you have another chance to win. So thank you so much. Go check that out, because as I mentioned in episode 6, what I'm doing, since I was a little behind in July, is I'm actually doing a combined July/August giveaway. So if you make any of either the July or the August jar and you post them in my Ravelry group, I'm actually going to, at the very end of August, I'm going to draw for not one, but 2 winners. That just seems like that would be fair. So go ahead on over and check that out. What I would like to tell you, though, is that it is now, August 2nd, I believe. So Jen and I kind of communicated with one another, and we decided that for the August jar, we are going to feature her basket of sunshine jar, which is absolutely adorable because it also has like a little holder to it. I'm going to put a picture up so you can see what that looks like, because it is so cute. I have not started mine yet, but I have picked out the yarn, I think. I've had this yarn in my stash for quite some time. I'm not even really all that familiar with this brand. It's Scholler and Stahl. I don't know if it's a German company. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll look that up and put a little bit more information in the show notes. But the name of the yarn is called Batika. And so it is, as you can see, all of these really pretty pastel-y colors. So I actually think, I don't know, there's just something about this basket of sunshine jar that is bright and happy, and instead of doing it in a solid, I think I'm actually going to see what happens when I use this. So stay tuned, because that is probably going to get put on the needles probably within the next couple days. So I should be able to show you some progress about that next time we're together. So anyway, I'm super excited to cast that on, and I am assuming, hopefully, if you haven't already watched Jen's podcast episode, her newer August one, I know she at least has a living basket of sunshine to actually show you. Jen actually is pretty much a basket of sunshine. So go ahead on over and, you'll be able to see like a real live one there. But hopefully the picture at least did it some justice, and I'll be able to show you the progress on mine next time. So that's that. I wanted to also give a little shout out to Barbara from the I Love Knitting podcast, or Knitting I Love rather podcast. I'm sorry, Barbara. I'm telling you, there is just something so charming, Barbara, about how you just do everything you do. She actually was the winner for the June jar along from My Thread. So I sent her package on its way over to Ireland, and she posted the cutest picture on Instagram. Like, I don't know what, she took all the little candies that I had put in the jar, made them into a heart. The jar was there, the yarn was there. She made the prize look by far cooler than it actually even was. So Barbara, I'm happy that you love it. And I actually was watching your most recent podcast this morning, and I saw the two colors that you paired that veil yarn up with, the beige yarn. Holy cow, I totally want to copy you. Those colors look stunning together. So good luck with that project, and I'm glad that you're enjoying the yarn and you're already plotting and planning for what you want to do with it. So, okay, I want to warn you guys, Addie and Clarence just spotted a chipmunk. We've had like a chipmunk and squirrel invasion going on here this weekend. So much so that we actually bought, and it's going to sound terrible, but we bought like a small water gun just to try to, encourage kindly as possible the squirrels to go away. But so if you suddenly hear crazy barking and scratching and jumping, it's because the dogs are on watch. So hopefully they won't, stir up too much trouble. Anyway, one more thing about the jar along. I said I wasn't going to say much about the jar along. I'm such a liar. Sorry. But I wanted to show you, I mentioned we did a lot of shopping this weekend, and one of the places that we love to go is the Keene Valley Farmers Market, which is every Sunday here through the month of October up in the High Peaks region. And there is actually a hand dyer she's not there all the time because I think sometimes she's actually doing shows in other places and stuff. But it's actually a husband and wife team, and they do awesome stuff. They do weaving, they do dyeing, they do spinning. She makes patterns, and actually their company is called Heirlooms. I'm going to show you their card in a minute, but it's the Barsuglia husband and wife tag team, and we just always have such a nice time talking with them as well. So last time I had said that I didn't have any prizes to show for the two prizes that I would be drawing for at the end of August, but since we had such a great time this weekend, and since I got to talk to the Barsuglias again at their little tent at the farmers market, I picked up a skein of their yarn, which is actually this. I think it is so pretty. I apologize for those of you who are still loving summer, but I'm already getting kind of excited about fall and winter and knitting lots of hats. So right away, I really thought, and actually they had this yarn, by the way, what this is, I think it's a superwash. Yep, it's a 4-ply. It's a superwash merino. It's hand dyed. So this is just stunning. This skein has 215 yards. So it definitely would be more than enough to make a hat. So I'm going to be, for one of the lucky 2 winners is going to receive this, but also the pattern that, one of the cool things that I love about going to their booth is they have all of their different things hanging, and you always get the pattern for nothing. This is probably not going to do it any justice, but it's the cable brim hat. If you can, you can kind of see the detail on the hat, I suppose, the cabling there. So that you will get this pattern with this yarn, and you will be all set then to whip up what looks like a fairly simple pattern, a pretty simple cable pattern hat. So I'm excited about that because I wanted to actually do something when we're up here as much as possible. We like to support all of the local folks, whether it be the farms or the butcher, the cheesemaker, and that all goes for the yarn makers as well. So I am going to press pause for a second because Jamie did just pull down the driveway. Here he comes. So hold that thought, and I will be right back to move into the next segment. Okay, hopefully You didn't hear the car. Jamie is back, though, so that's good and exciting news. I got to catch up with him for a couple minutes, and now I'm going to pick up where I left off. But I did decide, I realized that I told you I was going to show you the card for the hand dyer that I love to visit with at the farmer's market, and there is. So I will put that there. Actually, their website is at the bottom there. It's scandinavianweaveandknit.com. So you can go ahead and check them out if you're interested, because their yarn is lovely. That skein, by the way, I want to say it was $11, which I think is a fairly decent deal for hand-dyed yarn. 215 yards, I don't think that's bad at all. So, and she has lovely, absolutely beautiful colors. So go ahead and check that out. Okay, while we're on the topic of local things I love, again, since the knitting didn't happen as much as I would have liked it to, part of the reason was because of the walking, and the other part of the reason was maybe because of a lot of the shopping that we did. Jamie and I mentioned that we were able to get a few more things for the house. So if I think of it, I'll insert some pictures here, but we've been trying to find kind of like a bench to put almost by the entryway, so that when people come in, they can take off their, snow boots or whatever, because we don't really have like not a mudroom type area or anything like that. So that's one thing that sometimes things get a little bit messy coming in and out, whether you're hiking or snowshoeing, skiing, whatever. So we did find a little bench, so that was good. We actually scored another bench that we had been looking for something for upstairs in the bedroom, so we grabbed that. And then we also even found a cool new lamp. The lighting in our living room is sometimes a little, we wish it were a little better, so we're trying to find, some little things to help with that. So, and then we got a really cool welcome to the Adirondacks hand crafted birch bark sign that was really neat. So those were some things for the house, but I also got some things for me. So I'm actually wearing one of them. We don't have cocktails today, but I am wearing my drink beer from here shirt, which I was really excited about because there is a new brewery in town in Lake Placid. And while we're on the subject of that, Jamie and I'm not going to get into this too much, but, we've talked about beer and how much we enjoy craft beer and things like that. And, what we're finding really interesting now is that obviously Jamie is making some, healthier choices. And what's kind of cool about that is that just I am as well by association. So I think what's kind of neat is it's almost like now what we did on a couple of our walks. After the walks, we went and checked out this new brewery, and we each had one beer. We tried, and we both got two different things so that we could kind of try each other's beer a little bit. And it was great. It actually kind of almost seems like it will make us look forward to treating ourselves like that from time to time. We'll look forward to it even more. So, but I needed this shirt so badly as soon as I saw it. I wish also that I could put my arm like right up through that screen and you could feel how soft this is. Oh my goodness. It is so soft. I love it. So I'm super excited. Has a hood. I love hoodie shirts. And it's just awesome. It's also, longer in the back than in the front. I'm not going to get up and show you my butt right now because you don't need to see that, but just take my word for it. It's longer in the back, which you know what that happens to go really well with. LuLaRoe leggings, which we discussed last week. So yeah, this shirt might have just now convinced me that I might need another pair of leggings. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I got this shirt at the brewery, which by the way is called the Big Slide Brewery. Awesome place. Looking forward to going back. Also at the farmer's market, I discovered a jewelry vendor, which I had never really seen her stuff before. She has an Etsy shop, and her shop is called Earth Girl Designs. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this really well. I haven't even taken it out of the wrapper yet. Oh yeah, you can. Can you see that says very subtly ADK is kind of stamped on there. It's sort of a rose gold color. I'm trying to get it. I don't know if it's, maybe if I put my finger behind it. Yeah, there we go. ADK. I love it. She had one that said like Adirondacks spelled out. And I always like, I love to have a part of the Adirondacks with me, even when we're not here. So when I saw this, I was like, this is perfect because it's sort of like subtle but elegant, and it's not like a, I don't want to say a cheesy souvenir, but I absolutely loved it. She gives it to you in this cute little pouch. But what I wanted to throw out there, that I'm actually thinking about doing, maybe for a Christmas present or two for some of my friends, she actually said, and I keep saying she, I wish I don't have her. Do I have a business card in here? Oh, wait, yes, maybe I do. Hang on one second. I might actually be able to tell you this person's name. Rachel King, of Earth Girl Designs. What Rachel was telling me is that she also does custom jewelry. So, if you guys are looking for something nice for a gift, go check her shop out on Etsy, because one of the things I'm thinking about doing is, I wonder if she would make a necklace with like multiple little pendants hanging from it that had like different knitting terms on them, like K2T for knit two together, slip slip knit, something like that. I think that would be such a cute gift for a knitter. So anyway, I don't know. I might check that out at some point and see if I am, in the market for that. Okay, one more thing to show you guys that I got, which I'm so excited about. I've been saying I'm in the market for a new project bag for a while, you know, like we all do. Not that we need another project bag, but sometimes you see one and you have to have it. Or sometimes you're in a shop and you see what is advertised as a cosmetic bag with the receipt in there. And there go the keys. It's really nothing. It's just kind of a simple canvas. Everything's like a really sturdy canvas. But check that out. Obviously, you can see that I am filming with this log cabin in the background. This place has been like our dream come true. Owning, this small cabin up here in the Adirondacks, which, by the way, I don't know if I think I've said this before, but we actually lovingly refer to this place as the Labrador Retreater, in honor of our two lovely labs, Clarence and Addie. So when I saw this bag, I thought to myself, boom, this does not need cosmetics in it. What this needs is a knitting project in it. So I'm super excited about that. And there's a bee. Holy cow, there's a bee. Go away, go away, go away. Go away. Go away. Okay. I think we've talked about this before. I am not a fan of the bees. I know that some of you like them. I'm terrified of them. That was a really small one too. If you saw it, you would be making so much fun of me right now, but it is what it is. I'm terrified of bees. So anyway, back to my project bag. I am so excited about this. It's adorable. I love it. And I can't wait to get something in it very, very soon. So speaking of projects, I want to go ahead and just spend a couple minutes talking about a couple things that are, I guess we're going to call this this segment, what's on and almost on my needles. I don't have too many things to talk about, because those of you who may follow me on Instagram may know that I am still working on the never ending. I'm going to do this here. Okay. The never ending, but always gorgeous Carson shawl by Romy Hill Designs. I am 3 rows away from being done with this bad boy. As you can see, I am actually on the really cool edging of this shawl, which when I first saw it, I thought, holy moly, this is going to be complicated and crazy and whatnot. But it actually hasn't been too bad. The only thing that's complicated is the fact that there are 481 stitches currently on my needles right now, which is why this is taking me forever to finish. But it's going to be done within the next day or two. I might even try and tackle another row or two in the car a little bit on the way, because I think Jamie's going to drive just part of the way home today. So we'll see how that goes. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on that. One thing I wanted to say about this, though, is that, as knitters, I think one thing that's always important is, even when we know how to do things, sometimes it's kind of cool to learn how to do things differently. And one thing I've always been afraid of is the notion, the idea of cabling without a cable needle. But I decided that, especially because there are 481 stitches involved on this edging, I thought this would be the perfect project to learn. So just I want to check something real quick. What was it? Knit Piece Love. I think I left it on my phone so that I would be able to find it. Oh, I was close. Piece Knit Love has a YouTube channel with some tutorials, and I was able to find, she actually had a tutorial for, what is it called? Twist 2 to the left and twist 2 to the right. Did I just do that opposite? Whatever, you guys know what I'm talking about. And I just did it. I watched these videos, and what I loved is her video actually showed you, I think, not only one, not two, but maybe, I think it was 3 different ways that you could accomplish the same, you know, slant of that cabled stitch. Obviously, you know, it's nothing complicated. You're only working with 2 stitches, but at the same time, I am convinced that I would still be working on those rows if I hadn't learned that from watching that tutorial, because you know, if I had to use a cable needle every single time I had to, you know, sort of perform that stitch, it would have really taken me quite some time. So my point being is that it's always fun, no matter how much, you know, how many things that you're, you know, that you think you already know how to do. It's really fun sometimes to kind of just go online and search and try and find a new and possibly easier way to do something. So I will put the link to those 2 videos in my show notes in case anybody is interested in that as well. Okay. Other thing that I am super excited about. I am a big fan. I am a listener of Helen Stewart's Curious Handmade podcast, which is an audio podcast. And I actually have not bought into, some of you may already know or be aware of her, I think it's called the Secret Shawl Society. It's something with shawls, and it's a society of some sort. But it's an awesome membership where you get a new shawl pattern sent to you every month if you actually buy into the membership for this. I did not do that yet, but I've always had several of Helen's patterns in my queue. So I decided, and if you recall, let me grab one more thing here. If you recall, a little while ago, I showed off, I think this was maybe even when I was down by my mom, I showed off this awesome skein of this Canadian hand-dyed yarn, Black Cat Custom Yarns, which, by the way, if you don't follow Black Cat Custom Yarns, her Instagram feed is to die for, no pun intended, because the colors are just gorgeous. This is the Overwatch colorway, and I have been trying, like, I've been racking my brains trying to decide the perfect project to cast on with this, and I'm going to be, as soon as those needles that my Carson shawl are on are empty, this is what's going on. And I've decided that what I'm going to make is Helen Stewart's, I'm sure this is not a surprising choice, but her Spindrift shawl, which I think is just absolutely beautiful. I've seen a few other people working on this, so I know for certain that it definitely is something that knits up beautifully. It looks like it's a nice, I love a shawl that has a combination of mindless and then something kind of, some pop, some fun, some lace, something you have to think about a little bit more. So this looks like it's going to be the perfect project for this gorgeous yarn. So I'm so excited to get that cast on as soon as possible. So that's it. So that will be getting cast on. My basket of sunshine jar, I'm going to be working on that. I'm still working on the dishcloths for the cardiac read along with the Pen Hook and Needles podcast. So that's actually, you know, there's a lot going on. I just didn't get to do a lot of it this weekend. So, all right. But that's why I saved the best for last. There is one thing that I did get to do this weekend, because, I don't know, this place inspires trying new things and getting out there and having a good time and just trying something even if you have no clue what you're doing. So let me kind of give you the backstory on this, and this is probably going to be my last segment, but I'm super excited to talk about it. I have, as many others, I have had what I guess could be referred to as sock blanks on the brain. Yes. I have not knit with a sock blank yet. Not yet. Um, I have been spending most of my time trying to acquire said sock blank, Andy, from Andre Sue Knits. I fully blame you for all of your artistic talent because I every time there is a new Instagram post, I see Andre Sue Knits come up on Instagram, and immediately I just prepare. Like I don't even I just drop my mouth open before I even look at the picture because I know it's going to happen anyway. Because it's been so much fun to watch Andy's journey with how she started out with making these sock blanks. And I, by no stretch do I ever think that I'm going to be able to have any kind of artistic talent in the way that she does. But I definitely, I've had trouble, as many people have, and it's by no fault of anybody's. It's just, the luck of the draw kind of thing. You obviously, if you want one of Andy's sock blanks, you have to go ninja crazy, and you have to be ninja stocky, and you have to just have your finger, boom, you have to get that thing and get it when you can. And I've not had any luck yet. So, and I'm not saying I'm giving up because I definitely, I still have my heart set on getting one of Andy's sock blanks. And I'm hoping to do that as soon as possible. But I wanted to just give a shout out of thanks to Andy because when I actually sent her a little private message on Ravelry and just thanked her for all of her inspiration and just wanted to say like, hey, you're doing some beautiful stuff. Thank you so much for inspiring so many people out there. And I was joking around and I was saying like that I'm really excited, even though I've been struggling to get one of her sock blanks. I asked if she had anybody else that she recommended that I could try and get one from, knowing full well that eventually I will have an Andre Sue Knits sock blank of my own. So Andy actually recommended, and I had heard of Gail's art before because I think Jen Sheelan, I know Jen just recently did those awesome watermelon socks off a sock blank. I think I've seen some other people with Gail's art sock blanks too, quite a few on podcasts. But the other one, too, that Andy mentioned was Witch Candy. When I checked her Etsy shop, I don't think there were any sock blanks left. But then I started to follow her on Instagram, and I thought, holy cow, if I'm not going down the sock blank rabbit hole, there is no way I'm going to hold off on at least getting a skein of yarn from Witch Candy. So that's going to happen also at some point. But I wanted to thank Andy for her advice because actually I'm so excited, and hopefully maybe by the time, I don't know if it'll be there by the time I get home, but what I did, because you got to go big or go home, instead of just buying one of Gail's sock blanks, I actually signed up for her 3-month sock blank club, which I think what she's doing is she's actually featuring different birds over the next 3 months. So I'm super excited to see that. That should be coming soon, and that will be my first official sock blank purchase. I'm really excited about that. The other person I wanted to thank was Emily from the Fibertown podcast because I think she posted something on Instagram, and she must be a Hamilton lover, I assume, because I saw that one weekend she did this little sock blank dyeing experiment, and she ended up with a sock blank. I think it was like pink in the background and had maybe like a brownish sort of color lettering, but right away I noticed that it said something like "not throwing away my shot" or something like that. And I was so excited because I thought she was making these Hamilton sock blanks maybe to sell. So, of course, like a ding dong, I sent her a private message on Instagram. And I said, would you be willing to make one of these for me? And, she wrote back an absolutely amazing response. Not only, she said that she wasn't selling her sock blank, but she gave me some tips and hints and, kind of a nudge of encouragement to go ahead and, hey, why not dye a sock blank of my own? So I decided that I was not throwing away my shot on playing around with this whole sock blank thing. So what did I do? I started doing some research. Ooh, there's the bee again. Oh my gosh. I bet you know that the, what do you call it, the YouTube freeze frame is going to be my petrified bee face. I guarantee it. But anyway, back to what I was saying. You buy a lot of stuff, because you need it. I did a lot of reading because I needed to learn some stuff. So next thing you know, I was ordering. I'm just going to show you a few things that I ordered here. First thing I got was this book on hand dyeing yarn and fleece, because I figured, there's no way that the sock blank is probably going to be the only thing that I want to play around with dyeing. So this is actually a really helpful book. It's by Gail Callahan. It hadn't really been recommended to me by anybody, but I just read a bunch of reviews on Amazon, and it seemed like it was pretty thorough and good for beginners. And I've found it to be very informative. So I'm loving this book, and I learned a lot from that. I also purchased from a company called Wool to Dye For. I'm not even going to pull these out, but these are my blank sock blanks. I think I ended up having to buy a set of 5, which is fine because I was pretty much convinced that my first attempt was going to be a massive screw up anyway. So I thought, oh, well, at least having 4 backups will be good. And the other things, I had to get some stencils, some squeeze bottles. Obviously, I had to be concerned about safety. I read a lot about safety, so I got actually, Jamie had a mask that I was able to borrow, and some gloves to keep my hands safe as well. I went ahead and got, I think I might have already mentioned this, but stencils and paintbrushes also, because one of the things that, again, having seen Emily's sock blank, I thought it would be fun to sort of experiment with something Hamilton-esque, and see if I could, make something work, even if I decided to do some lettering. So that's it. So once I did my research and got all of my stuff gathered and together that I was going to need, the first thing I did was I actually mixed my dyes. I ended up going with the Jacquard, I think I'm saying it right, the Jacquard acid dyes, which you can actually just get right off. I think I just got them from Knit Picks. I don't have any experience or comparison to other dyes, but these seemed to be fine and quite easy to work with. So I don't know. I think, as you'll see in a moment, I'm probably going to be purchasing some additional colors of these at some point. But the first thing I obviously had to do was I had to create sort of my dye solution. One of the things that we also scored at the, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, I read in the book that you can kind of make your own measuring little jars and whatnot to use for dyeing. So I just did that, and actually at the local, here in Wilmington, we have a, what the heck is it called? Almost kind of like a flea market kind of a place. And I ended up finding somebody was getting rid of a bunch of jars for 50 cents each, so I bought a bunch. So anyway, now I experimented with making my dye. So that was that. Then I had to get the dye into my little squirt bottles. As you can see here, this says G Light. What that is supposed to stand for is my crazy code for gold light, because I also had a GD for gold dark. One of the things I had read about in my book was how to actually make sort of different shades of the same dye color, so that you could actually use that as a little bit of a contrast to kind of achieve like sort of a tonal kind of effect. So I was interested in trying that with the gold, and then I also had black dye that I made up as well. So once I was done with that, the next thing I needed to do, and this is something I need to learn more about, but I ended up just preparing a vinegar and water bath for my undyed sock blank, because you just have to let that soak. I've read different things. I've read from anywhere between 15 and 45 minutes, so I figured let's go, somewhere in the middle there. I soaked it for about 30 minutes. I definitely want to. I've read things. I've listened to people talking about using citric acid. I just didn't have any citric acid. I happened to have vinegar, so that's the only reason I used that. And I think I definitely want to try the citric acid soaking method instead, because quite frankly, even just the fact that, it's funny, like when I was doing this whole dyeing thing, I kept thinking there should be Easter eggs around me, because I was surrounded by dye and the smell of vinegar and I was thinking of Easter, and there were no eggs. So, that's the main reason I think I would want to try something other than vinegar, is just to see if maybe, I know that once I soak and wash my completed sock blank, I'll probably get rid of some of that, the vinegary smell. But even just in working, like the working conditions, I wonder if it would be nicer if it wasn't so stinky. So anyway, by the way, while I'm talking about this, I'm going to try to, I took pictures of this little journey along the way. You've already seen a couple of them, but I'll try to insert pictures where it seems like they would kind of help tell this story a little bit better. But the first thing I did was use the squeeze bottle. So I had three. I had the two different shades of gold, and I had the black, and I tried to basically stripe my sock blank first, as you can see. I keep doing, that's where hopefully the picture is going to be. I have no idea where the picture is going to be. Who knows? But anyway, as you can see, that's the first thing I did was get the stripes. But then I left myself a sort of open field of gold in the middle, hoping that I would have enough room to play around with my stencils. And that was the part I was worried about, because I know I have read that when you want to do stencil work on these sock blanks, that it actually is helpful to thicken your dye, so that it doesn't sort of absorb and start running a little bit, and you get almost like a shadowed effect around your letters or whatever the picture you might be trying to create with that stencil. But again, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but I just read something about guargum, something like that. I want to try and get my hands on that, because that seems like that serves as a pretty good thickening agent to help with that. I just noticed, back to Andy, Andre Sue Knits, when she's making these absolutely stunning. Now, again, my artistic skills are nowhere near, but I can use a stencil. So, if I even buy a stencil somewhere, I want it to be crisp, and I want the color to be stark and dark, and, a nice contrast to whatever the color of the background is. So definitely next time I think I am going to work with that. So I think I've talked about it long enough, but now I definitely want to show you guys how this turned out. It's not terrible, actually, for the first time, I don't think. Let me hold on one second. It's going to be a little difficult. I'm showing you the middle of this first, because that's my weight for it. So for those of you who are not Hamilton fans, you may need a little schooling right here, because Wait For It is one of my favorite songs on the soundtrack. It is actually Aaron Burr singing, the character of Aaron Burr singing, and it's an absolutely beautiful song. So much fun to sing in the car, by the way, or anywhere, by the way. So I love it, and I tend to be an impulsive person. So even for me, even though the song has much more significance in the play, oh, and we've got planes and things flying overhead. I hope that that's not too noisy for you. Wow. That's interesting. Anyway, I just like having these three words on this sock blank, because for me, sometimes I do have to wait for it and not just jump into something too crazy or whatever, which is probably what I just did with this whole sock blank dyeing thing, but that's okay. This was different. So anyway, I just wanted to show you what this ended up looking like. I did a little bit more on the edges. So I do have, and if I hold it closer, I think you'll be able to see sort of, I'm sorry that it's rolled up. Let me try and unroll it a little bit more for you. If you look closely at the gold, I think you can kind of see a little bit the lighter and the darker tone. But it didn't, I had hoped that when I tried to apply it, I wanted those two tones to kind of blend like into one another, dark into light or light into dark. It ended up almost seeming like it's the way the yarn picked up the dye, it almost seems like it's a little more splotchy. So I want to figure out like why that happened and how to work on that. I also noticed too some white spots, which after doing some reading about that, what that just means is that probably not obviously enough of the dye absorbed itself into those parts of the blank. So it seems like that would have involved me doing maybe a little more massaging of the dye, which is interesting because I actually was afraid when I was working on this that it was too wet and that I had too much dye on there, because I had read that sometimes that can be a problem as well. So I'm sure that a lot of this, like anything, is trial and error and trying to figure out what the right thing to do would be. The other thing I'm trying to figure out is sock blanks like have a mind of their own and they just start unraveling like even when you're not doing things to them. So I have to get those things on the needles though because I could totally see like all I'm thinking about right now is what in the world are these things going to look like, and I'm super excited to see what they end up looking like. I can't wait. So that's it. So lessons I learned from my first sock blank experience. I definitely want to try working with citric acid. Number one. Number two, the two shades. I don't know if maybe I need a greater variation in the amount of dye to water ratio that I actually created for the two different colors. So I'm going to play around with that maybe a little bit. And then the biggest thing definitely is trying to find some sort of product to help act as a thickening agent for the black dye so that when I do the letter stenciling, maybe I can see a little bit of a difference because I'm sure you saw it, but it does have that sort of shadowy effect around the letters, which it's not horrible because you could totally read it, but it just doesn't look polished. It doesn't look crisp and polished to me, which is what I would really love. So anyway, my sock blank journey will continue because I have four other naked blanks that I'm probably just going to still keep playing with gold and black because I kind of feel like if I work with the same colors, I'll be able to really see the difference in what I'm doing from the beginning, and then each time maybe I try something new. I'm afraid if I switch to trying with too many different colors, then I'm actually not going to be able to really tell what I'm learning from my little experiments here and there. So I am so excited about that. The hardest thing is going to be that I really want to. So kind of to wrap this up, I told you about all of the things that are so going on my needles, but it is going to be really hard not to get that on my needles next and as quickly as possible because I really, really, really want to see. I could totally see why working off of a sock blank is so much fun, especially because I made it myself. It made it that much more exciting now to kind of see like when these turn into socks, what they'll look like compared to what the coloring looks like on the blank. So I think that might be it for today. So just to kind of wrap up, think about that KNIKING thing, you guys, and let me know what you think because I can totally think of a few viewers out there that I know that perhaps might be interested in a little Adirondack KNIKING adventure. So maybe we can make that happen someday. Who knows? That said, I'm going to wrap it up and we're going to be probably heading out pretty shortly, but hopefully I'll see you guys in a couple weeks and I'll have lots more knitting to show. So thank you very much for tuning in, and don't forget, please take some time out this week to pause for those stitches, and I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.